guys, welcome to one of my favorite videos to film each year. This is the 4th annual Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. This is my 3rd year doing it here on BookTube. The first year I did it on my blog, and I started my BookTube channel like a few weeks later, but this is the 4th year running it, and I'm so excited about it once again. In case you guys are new here, I'm Chantel. I never introduce myself in my videos because I view myself kind of like Kathleen Kelly talks about with her letters to Joe Fox and how she always just imagines they're in the middle of a conversation, and that's kind of how I view my videos. But this is one of my most popular videos each year, so I feel like maybe once a year I can introduce myself. So the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge was originally created because I had a bunch of books that were sitting on my shelves and I kept ignoring them and picking up other books, honestly. And since then, my TBR shelves have grown, so I'm not sure if I would necessarily call this a success, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I am reading books off of my shelves and just also buying more. Now, because people ask me each year, you do not have to read books off of your shelf. You can read library books or other people's books, you can borrow books. I don't care. This is a very loose challenge. It's just for fun, maybe to push you out of your comfort zone, make you pick up a book that maybe you've been avoiding but you want to read or you want to try but you've been avoiding. I created it for myself and it was very successful on my blog the first year, and I've enjoyed doing it here in the last few years, so we're just going to keep going with it. So if you haven't been here before, this is just a prompt for every month of the year, and I have said before that you don't need to read the books in order or in the months that they're supposed to be. Like I said, it's a very loose challenge, but this year I'm switching things up a little bit because I am taking inspiration from the ladies doing Historathon 3.0 this year, and each prompt this year for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge is going to play off of the book that you read for the last prompt. So this year you will have to read the books in order, but I don't care if you read it specifically in the month that it's supposed to happen, but you have to read the January prompt before the February prompt, but it doesn't have to be read in January and February. I hope that makes sense. I have had some people tell me that they use these prompts for their book club. Some have sent it to their like work newsletter and people have joined in the challenge. This is so much fun to do on your own, but even more so with friends. So if you guys want to share this video with friends, I would love for you to do that. And like always, I am going to be doing a $100 gift card giveaway. I've done this since the beginning. It's a lot of fun. So pretty much a little over a year from now, it will be the beginning of January 2024. I will pick a giveaway winner. The details will be at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so like I said, this year we are going to be doing the prompts so they follow after each other. I'm really excited about it because I feel like it really pushed me. I got my son, we went through the prompts and we made a like what would be a TBR for the year if I was picking all my books now. My plan is just to pick a book each month as I go. So I'll pick January's book, and it may be what my January book is here, but then by the time February comes around, I'm only deciding for my TBR for February, so I might change my mind. But let's get into the prompts and we'll talk about this more as we go. Okay, so January's prompt is going to be to read a book that starts with the word a or the. And there is quite a few books like that, so I don't think anybody should have problems with this prompt. For mine here, I decided if I was going to be doing this right now, the book I would pick is The Master Craftsman. This is historical fiction. And one of the things I have specifically done with I think all but the first year of this challenge is I try to find prompts that are not genre specific because I want anybody to be able to use these prompts no matter what genres they like to read. And maybe this will push you a little bit, but I don't want to say like read a romance book if you don't enjoy reading romance books, because I don't, so I don't want to force people to read a specific genre. Okay, so the first prompt is easy. A or the. Tons of options. I'm sure everybody can figure that one out pretty easily. But then the next prompt is to pick a book with a complementary color from the cover or the spine. And so what I did actually, and I'll put up a little screenshot here, is I tried to find this exact color, and there is a complementary color matcher. So complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel, and are supposed to kind of go with the color, but there is a matcher that you pick a color and it will tell you like exactly the color that is the complementary color, and I'll leave that link below because that is a little bit of fun to do. So I put this kind of like greeny color in. I'm not sure that the actual color translates as well on the camera, and I'll pop in the picture. It came up with like a purpley color, and the best one I could find for that is this one. So after I would read this in January, then in February I would be reading The Forgetting, and that's just based off of the color. The spine is actually pretty gold, although the purple is on the words there a little bit. So yeah, I think that one will be fun because anybody can do that no matter what color your book is. There should be a complementary color unless it's brown. But I don't know, use your imagination, figure it out. It's loose, like I said. So this one is a YA dystopian or science fiction-y type book, I think. I've heard lots of good things about it and it's been on my shelf forever and I still haven't read it. So this would be a really good one for me to read for this challenge. For March, we're going to be reading a book that the title starts with the next letter in the alphabet. So this one started with T. Once again, I had actually another one that started with the. So after T comes U, and I thought that would be easier than it was. I have lots of books on my bookshelf, but it was a little harder. But I found Under the Bayou Moon. So whatever your book starts with, in March you're going to be reading a book that starts with the next letter of the alphabet. This one is historical fiction, I think, set in 1949. So far I've got 2 historical fiction, 1 science fiction. Like I said, this will deviate, but I think it's a lot of fun. Then in April, okay, we're going to challenge ourselves a little bit. We're going to go with a different genre. So I had historical fiction here, and then, I mean, I read a variety of different genres anyway, so I picked this one. This is a fantasy. I guess it is kind of historical fiction-ish because it is set during like the Robin Hood times, but in my mind this is going to read more like a fantasy. I'm pretty sure it's fantasy. Hopefully I didn't just like ruin my own challenge. I went with this one anyway. So that was April, a different genre. In May, oh, I was not thinking as I was doing this, was I? In May, I decided that we were going to be reading a book that is longer than your April book. So my April book is 480 pages. And so I had to pick a book longer than this. Thankfully, one of my goals for 2023 will be to read some of the longer books on my shelf and just read bigger books in general. So this works out. And I specifically chose May because it's my birthday month, and sometimes there's something really cozy about sitting down with a huge book, and also because there's 31 days. So originally I was gonna put this in February. I was like, we can't do it on a short month. So from this book, I found one that has more pages, and I'm not sure if this is the one I'm actually gonna read in May. I might read it before then. I really do want to read it. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I think this is also like fantasy-ish, set in 1806, maybe like historical fantasy as well. This one has, how many pages? The last page with the page count is 1,006 pages, so definitely possible. I mean, I've read the Sanderson Stormlight Archive, so I can read big books. It takes a while though. So that was May. In June, we're going with a title that has half as many letters as your May book. So if I counted correctly, actually this one was confusing because it had an and symbol. I'm like, that's not a letter. Should I call this characters? So I just decided to ignore that because there was an odd number anyway. I could have used the word and, but I'm pretty sure there's 24 letters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 24. Yes, I'm right, 24 letters. And so I had to find a title with 12 letters, which was really hard. I kept finding like just over or just under, but I found one. I found The Lake House by Kate Morton. This one is on my TBR shelf as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh good. After all that trying to find a book with 12 letters, I thought maybe I would have actually miscounted, because it may have happened in last year's Read Your Bookshelf announcement that I totally messed up on one of the books. But so far I think I'm doing okay. So this one is historical fiction. Well, it's dual timeline. So we're in 1933 and then I think present day-ish. And I've enjoyed Kate Morton's books. I always feel like Well, how long are they? They're like about 500 pages, just under. I always feel like they could be about 100 pages shorter. Like she draws things out more than needs to be, but this would work well for like reading longer books, one of my goals. Okay, so from this book, we are going for July, a book set in a different country or world. So if you're like reading fantasy or manga or things that are like maybe set in different places, you could do a different world or a different country. So this one looks like in England. So I had to read something not set in England. And then I decided to go something local, and Emily Climbs. I mean, local-ish. I mean, it's my country. This is set in Canada. I'm assuming it's actually been a long time since I read book 1, like a number of years. I'm pretty sure this is set in PEI, like most of L.M. Montgomery's works. So Chantel, that is a couple hours older and therefore wiser, popping in here. When I was doing this, I missed the month of August. So from here on out, this isn't going to make a whole lot of sense. I don't know how it worked. I didn't notice it when I was writing it down. I didn't notice it when I was filming it, but I went straight from July to September. So I'm gonna squeeze in an August prompt here. I don't know if it had disappeared when I was writing them the other night or what happened exactly, but my stack of books isn't going to make a whole lot of sense. So July's prompt was set in a different country. And so I'm gonna show another book yet, but the one that I picked was set in England. And I'm pretty sure this one's a Canadian author. So let's just say this one, I pulled this one off. The Rule of Three, because this one I'm very intrigued about. I think it's like a post-apocalyptic kind of book. Very curious. So for the month of August, which exists in real life, but not in my first version of this. So for August, we're going to pick a book that is from the same genre of your July book. So if I pick this for July because it's set in a different country, then my previous one, now this is getting all really confusing. If July, I read a book that is set in a different country, August, I'll have to read one that's like the same genre, which would be like science fiction. It could be the broader genre. It doesn't have to be like post-apocalyptic. And then September is a fun prompt, but now it won't be using this book. We're gonna jump back to my previous footage where for some reason August didn't exist. This is just like last year when I totally had a mess up, except it took me, well, I edited the entire video and didn't realize it. I only realized it while I was making this cool handy dandy printable for you guys and for myself to keep track of the books that we've read and the titles. I'm gonna write down the title of the book I've read, and then I'm gonna check it when I've read it, and I'm gonna check it when I've submitted it. I'm not actually entering the giveaway. You guys can check it when you've submitted it to the giveaway. It was while I was working on that I noticed I was missing an entire month. I'm gonna blame it on not a whole lot of sleep on the weekend. So we'll go with that. So now we'll jump back to the video that will not make a little bit of sense for a bit, but just bear with me. This is why maybe I should do it a month at a time instead of picking a whole stack of books. Maybe that's a recommendation for you guys as well. Okay, Dumber Chantel coming up now. In September, okay, this was actually harder than I thought. In September, we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna turn to page 50 in your August book, and then we're gonna pick one of those words and read a book with one of those words in the title. So if your page 50 is like, you know, the end of a chapter where there doesn't have any words, you can use 49 or 51. If it's an illustration, I don't know, just you guys like work with it. Figure out a page close to there with some words. So I went to page 50 and it had some really good words in the first like sentence here. There was like the word moon, suddenly, swallowed, black clouds, engulfed, darkness. I liked all of those words and I could not find a book with one of those words. So I was going through the entire page, and L.M. Montgomery uses a lot of descriptive language, but not ones that I could really do anything with until I got to this, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way down the page. There was the word nobody, and I pulled this out of a little free library like a year ago or so. It's called Nobody. So I figured this one works. Actually, the word is in there twice too, so I thought maybe that would work well. I actually don't know what this is. Christian fiction of some sort, maybe like mystery suspense. I pulled it out of a little free library. I don't usually need to know much more than that. So then in October, we're going from this book, and our October book The title is going to start with the first letter of this author's last name. So this author's last name starts with an M, so in October my book would have to start with an M. This is when my son was here, he was helping me out, and he found a book off of my TBR cart, and he found Moo by Sharon Creech. This is a middle grade free verse novel. No, not a whole lot of pages or words on the page, so he picked out this one. I probably would have picked something different, but it was fun. This isn't the order I'm going to be going in, like I said, so it's all good. Okay, November. We are going for a different time period than your October book. So I think this one is present day. They didn't have a date in the beginning. From the description, it didn't sound like it was set in the past, so I could pretty much go anything other than contemporary. So I decided to pick up another historical fiction, which I have a lot on my shelves lately because I bought a lot of them this last year, so I have a lot to read, and this one's a little dirty on the cover. I picked up The Nature of Fragile Things. This one takes place in 1906. So it's pretty much, assuming this one's like present day, then this one is like 100 years ago. So this is historical fiction set in April 18th, 1906. Massive earthquake rocks San Francisco. I don't even think I've read the back of this. That actually sounds really interesting. So that would be my November pick this way. Then from here in December, our page count has to be within 20 pages of this page count. So I think this one was 367, and you can choose if you're picking like from the acknowledgements. I just went from the last numbered page, I think, and 367 was the last numbered page. So I could read a book that has between 347 to 387. I was thinking like 20 on either side, and that took us a while to find. But we did. We found another historical fiction, and we came out with Stories That Bind Us. This one had 371, so it's actually within like 3 pages of each other. This is historical fiction set in 1960s, which I've read a few of her books set in that time period, and they're so good. I'm really excited to read this. I don't think I can wait all the way till December, though. This one will probably get read before then, which is why picking the stack right now doesn't make sense to me. If that's how your brain works, absolutely go ahead. But if you want to work it from month to month, which is how I'm going to do it, go ahead too. Like I said, I'm flexible. Do what works for you. I like to mood read quite a bit, so there's a very good chance that by November, December, like these books aren't even going to be unread on my shelf anymore, and I'll probably have more books that I haven't read or that I've purchased that I haven't read. So yeah, this just gives you a general idea of how it works. If you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments. I hope we'll have fun with this and it's not too hard. I think last year I had predictions on some of the ones that would be a little harder. I think that September might be a little difficult, turning to page 50 and reading a book with one of those words. But if it's super difficult, then just like keep turning pages till you get to a page that works. And complementary colors might be difficult depending how like specific you go. I was looking for this exact shade of purple. I didn't quite get it. But purple is not a very common color, and the purples that I did have were like a very different one. Yeah, so let me know what you think of this going in this kind of order. I think for next year, I'm already planning next year, I might do a flowchart where if you read this book, then you go one of these ways. And if you read a genre you normally read, then you go this way. I don't know. I obviously haven't thought of it very much. There's a whole year yet, but I'm thinking flowchart, but that might get difficult. Yeah, let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you're joining in on it. And if you want to be entered into the giveaway, I will have a link in the description. And throughout the year, you can come to the link. It will be a blog post on my website, Hey Reader, and you'll go in and you'll put the books in that you've read. And you can do this like each month after you've read it, or you can just do it all at the end of the year. Sometimes people get confused as to which books they've read already or not. I will have a printable once again this year, and maybe what I'll do is I'll give you a spot where you can check off if you've like submitted it for the giveaway. Then you can maybe keep track of that easier. Yeah, so I'm excited for the 2023 Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined in the past and plans on joining in this year.